Hello, everybody. Welcome to our third ever Fuzey webinar. This one, Masterclass on payments. The ultimate guide to connecting with your customers and getting paid, and more specifically, how to get paid instantly with zero fees. My name's Alex Boyce. I'm the co-founder of Fuzey, and I am delighted to see you guys today for the first part of a two-part series that's a topic that's frankly all on top of our minds. Payments, how to get paid, and how to run your business in a more efficient way. Today, I'm joined by my teammate Hector Stanley. I'll let Hector introduce himself, but he's an expert on this space, having worked with a bunch of customers in and around the topic of payments, and more recently, really just kind of diving into how we can help local businesses solve this exact challenge. Hector?
Yeah. Hi, guys. So I'm Hector. I lead the customer success team here at Fuzey. My job here is basically to ensure customers are getting the best out of our platform. What that means day to day is I spend a lot of time talking to our users, make sure they're running their businesses in the best possible way, and just, making sure that their businesses thrive, really. Prior to Fuzey, I worked a bit in consulting and a bit in construction as well. I really hope you enjoy what we've got to talk about today.
Awesome. So let's talk about the agenda for today. I want to just kind of quickly outline what we're going to talk about. The first is we're going to talk about how payments actually work, because let's be honest, it's confusing to all of us, even those who deal with payments on a day-to-day basis. Then we're going to talk about why you should really care. I think that there'll be some good surprises in there that, frankly, drive us to come to work every day. And then ultimately, we want to talk about how to get paid easier and more efficiently, and really kind of the pros, the cons, and how to think about the whole running of one's business from a payments perspective.
Yeah, it definitely got some strong opinions about how we think the best ways to get paid are in today's market. So it should be good.
Yeah, and really, I mean, I think that the final piece is we want everybody that sees this to be able to walk away with an understanding of how you can optimize your business's cash flow in a way that really doesn't require you to be a financial wizard. Because at the end of the day, we run our business, you run yours, and nobody wants to spend too much time on topics of just kind of enablement. What we do and what we want to help you with is to figure this out in a really, really easy way. So card payments are full of complexity. There's a ton of parties involved, and frankly, I think they're pretty outdated compared to a lot of the other kind of ways, payment technologies that we've seen hit the market over the last couple of years. I just want to kind of walk you through all of the steps involved, because I think you might, after this, or like this is certainly the case for us, once we've kind of got how many steps there are, it starts making sense why it's so expensive. So the first thing is when you go and pay for a particular service, you got to give somebody your card, right? You either tap to pay or you do chip and pin, and that's when the merchant basically requests some guy far away to ultimately authorize that to a payment processor. Processor then submits that request to a bank. Bank approves or declines that, and then that's basically done. It either says approved or disapproved. The reason why that's important for you is ultimately that's the point at which you know that you're going to get paid. That said, that's not where it stops, right? After that point, once the merchant or once you have kind of a batch of payments, you've got to wait a couple of days for that payment to come through, because ultimately banks have to be asked to to send you the payment, so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, it might take a couple of days to fundamentally get there. That is a big problem, we think, for a lot of people, because I like getting paid instantly. You like getting paid instantly, and ultimately cash is king, and cash is going to be determinant of how easy it is to run your business. And as you can see, there's a ton of steps, and steps are expensive. So between setup fees and card machine rentals, service fees, and everything else, fees can reach up to 3 to 4%, and we just don't think that that's tenable in the long run.
Yeah, so bank payments are a little bit different, and lots of merchants prefer to go this way for a variety of reasons. You can see just from this slide that there are way fewer steps, which obviously makes it more attractive, not just from a fee point of view, but a complexity point of view. So the merchant initially shares their bank account information with the customer. They complete that transfer with their bank, and then it's essentially the onus is on the bank to actually transfer the funds to that merchant account. So bank transfers have quite a big one-up on card payments in a lot of ways. but they still have their limitations as well. Just because they're faster doesn't always mean they're better. Customer experience is a big problem in this area. It's often kind of clunky for customers to do. They can make mistakes filling in account numbers, sort codes, etc. And so often, the only easy way to check that it's actually worked is, to hop into your account and make sure it's gone through. And with some banks, particularly sort of dated banking systems and in different geographies, it actually isn't always instantaneous. So it can take a few days. Often, if it's over a certain threshold, they will charge you an amount. So it's actually, there's no real guarantee that it'll improve your cash flow woes, even if sort of fundamentally it appears to be better than card payments.
Yeah, and look, these are the two big ways that we've taken payment in the past for our business, that we've seen our merchants do that, and frankly, basically all of the company or all of the companies with whom we work, this is kind of the majority of the way that they transact. Of course, there's cash, there's checks here and there, but really at the end of the day, these are the vast, this kind of comprises the vast majority of payments. And this is, an important topic for all of us, because if this is the way that you're going to get paid, this is the way that basically your whole business is going to function. On the card side, it might be convenient for the end customer and quick for them to pay, but it takes you time to ultimately get that payment, and it's expensive. And then on the bank side, it can be, a little bit cheaper with respect to fees, but A, that's only sometimes, and B, there's a lot of onus and a lot of trust put on your customers to actually get the numbers right, to make sure that they're sending the money, the right money at the right time to the right account. And ultimately, we think that there's a better way. So let's talk about the numbers. I think one of the things that really surprised us in this is, essentially why you should care, right? If you think about, 2%, 3%, 4%, that might not feel huge in isolation, but in aggregate over time, it's a lot of money. So if we look at this, this is going to just, this is actually based on one of our customers who is basically an electrician in the UK. Their hourly rate is about 60 quid. And they work about 6 hours a day, or their engineers work about 6 hours a day, which ultimately yields about 360 quid of revenue on a day-to-day basis. All right. If you assume that these guys are working about 20 days a month, that's 7,200 pounds at the end of the month. And, as we see more and more people urging or consumers asking for easy ways to pay, a lot of those things are going to cards now. So if those guys are paying about 3% in aggregated fees, and then 50 quid on top of that for just different things, if that's card machines, if that's service charges, whatever it is, right? That starts adding up quite a bit. If you think about that on a holistic basis, as a team of 8, this is when the numbers get really, really big. So if we want to show exactly how big that is, so we've got about 3,500 quid on for kind of a team of 1 on a 3,200 for a yearly payment for a team of 1. And that ultimately gets us all the way up to about 21,000 for a team of 8, which is an enormous amount of money. That ultimately could buy you another Sprinter van, that could buy you, or a couple of used ones, frankly. And frankly, 21,000 pounds of cash in the bank is worth a ton more, to put towards good use versus, payment costs that aren't really necessarily, needed. So I think we've seen this in real life. And Hector, I think you might want to share, a little bit about how we've seen this with actually this very customer.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier, actually. So all of this really speaks to me because one of the customers I've worked with during my time here at Fuzey had a real sort of operational challenge to do with payments. So they're a plumbing company in the Midlands, and they had a huge turnover, driving around in vans just like this, costing 20 grand. The way that they would collect payments is they would drive around the country with a card machine in hand and just work their way through a list of customers collecting payment. The card machine, they had to rent. It often broke. It often didn't have signal, and they were always picking up all of these charges, sometimes 3%, 4%, 5%, depending on the card that their merchant actually used. I think for some of the cards, it was as much as sort of 8 or 9%, depending on if they were paying with a credit card. And so we sat down and we reviewed all their spreadsheets, and they were logging this, but They weren't tracking the time that they were using, the fuel that they were burning doing this, which obviously is a hot topic at the minute. And so not only was it hours every day, but it also just cost them a ton in fuel. And so actually switching to a more sustainable payment method, something where they didn't have to drive around in their van for hours every night, just sort of helped them out. So yeah, you can see on this slide, it summarizes that really neatly. Chasing payments for customers just takes time away from actually doing the work that you're getting paid for. And not understanding where that money is, is it going to land tomorrow? Is it going to land in 4 days? There's just an absolute nightmare in terms of cash flow. So yeah. It's sort of clearly not the right idea. It clearly doesn't work.
Yeah, and it's absolutely right. I mean, I think one of the things that's kind of surprised us all over the last couple of months is that a lot of our tradesmen are busier than ever, right? People have a stronger focus on improving their house after COVID. There's a shortage of labor here in the UK where people frankly need work to be done, and there's just not enough people to help do it, which is a great problem for our customers. But at the same time, rather than focusing on getting more dollars in the door or more pounds in the door, if you will, pardon the Americanism, they're ultimately either having to go around and pick up a card machine and then bring it over to a new site, or frankly, just spending more time chasing down customers than they'd otherwise need, right? So if you're able to kind of mitigate that time and then also just get more cash in the door, you can run your business in a better way. You can have more time for the pub. And frankly, you can make sure that your business continues to grow, without having to think as much about it. So
yeah, and Alex, you and I found this at the last place we worked as well, where such a huge amount of the sales resource was just spent chasing down payments. It was
100%.
just such a time burn.
Yeah. And if you have a simple way where you can basically know that that's going to get in front of somebody, I think that makes a big difference. So I think that that kind of brings us to where we're going here, which is thinking about open banking and kind of some of the technologies that have come out to help make that a little bit easier. So look, I won't bore you with the jargon, but basically we talked about traditional bank transfers. You got to think about the sort code. You have to remember the account number, the amount, the reference, all of those things. With open banking, it's much, much simpler. I bet a lot of you guys watching this have actually gone through it and used it, whether or not you've known what it's been called. But really, it's just anytime that a bank knows how much, or a merchant asks, gives you a link and asks for essentially a predetermined amount of money, for a particular, good or service to a particular vendor, and you can basically just pay with a couple clicks. The advantages here is that it's instant. There's basically zero fees. And we'll talk about Fuzey in a second, but the way that we help, our customers do this is we send a text. And what's cool about a text is that, I'm sure that you guys are no different than me. My inbox is just absolutely full all the time. And my, however many emails I get around to opening is just not the same as text, right? Texts have 98% open rates. You know that your customers are going to get it. And rather than having to have the whole rigmarole of make sure, hey, look, don't forget the account number, don't forget the sort code. This is one link, and your end customer can click it and get paid basically instantly. And the fees are completely different than before, right? Fees are about 30p per charge. That's it. The entire charge. There's no percentages. There's no nothing. So if you're going out and doing a pretty costly job of a couple £100, after that, you don't have to necessarily give away that 3 or 4%. You can simply give away 30p and call it a day. So I'd say, getting paid instantly and with practically zero fees is more or less what we want to, deliver to our customers. And we're really excited about, the promise of open banking.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably segues us quite neatly into what we do, and what we sort of offer to all of our customers, all of our great companies who use Fuzey. So with Fuzey, just as we've sort of been speaking about throughout this whole presentation, with Fuzey, we're trying to make the best steps to make sure that our customers have a sort of a really streamlined payment system, so they don't have to be driving around card machine in hand, burning money on fees. And essentially with Pay with Bank, you can actually collect payments instantly with close to zero fees. So as Alex said, the sort of 30p per payment, which is pretty negligible when you consider some of the payments that are going through it. But let's see a video, and we can see it in action. So this is a little demo. So you can see on the left hand side, is our sort of Fuzey user. So they're having a conversation with a customer. In this case, it's me. They want to request a large payment. In this case, something in the order of magnitude of 50p, which is pretty reasonable. And then going to say something generic like service, so you can trace that down, which is ideal. So they'll send that, and on the customer side, which you'll see on the right-hand side, they'll just get a payment link. So that's just at the bottom there. They'll click through, and they get options with Fuzey. So we do have card payment, but it's the open banking that's the real jewel in the crown. And as they click through, you will have seen that they got to select their bank. And in this page, they get one final option, essentially, to just make sure that they're happy with the payee, so who they're paying, the sort code and the account that they're paying with, and what the payment total is. And as they click it, so this will just open up in their secure mobile banking app. They get one last chance to check it, so you can see the amount, the recipient, and everything, and obviously the reference service. So it all carries through. They enter their PIN, and it goes through. And it's literally as quick and as easy as that on Fuzey. It's, as you can see, that took less than a minute to send and pay. And again, if you look on the left-hand side, the top payment of 50p by Hector Stanley is paid. So yeah. So that's just sort of a quick demo video of sort of how Fuzey Pay with Bank works, basically.
Totally. And look, I mean, I think for us, the big thing that gives us confidence that this is really adding value to our customers is that the people that have started to use us start using us like wildfire, right? Ultimately, one payment becomes two becomes four, and then very quickly people realize, why would I ever, deal with, antiquated old, payment methods again? So we're really excited about this. We think that this could really help, a ton of our merchants and our local businesses across the UK and beyond. And yeah, we're really excited about, about bringing our technology to others and make sure that we can, kind of help as much as we can. But I think with that, now that we've kind of talked through what payments is, why they matter, kind of what they cost today and how we can help, it might be a good time to open up for questions.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So I know that we've got a couple coming in from the audience, as I see the panel here. But I think one of the things that we think I get asked a lot, and Hector, I'm sure it's the same for you, is really in around thinking about the security of payments, and like, is sending a payment link via text secure? So one of the things that is on my mind all the time is really around essentially whether or not paying online is something that's going to put my data at risk. And one of the nice things about at least payment links coming through is that when we open up these these links that you, just as you did on that video, you're on a secure portal that's ultimately owned by a bank, right? You don't have to worry. This isn't on Fuzey. This isn't on your personal kind of server. This pure, like, fully encrypted state-of-the-art technology that allows us to ensure to you that those payments are 100% secure, and that you don't have to worry about they're going anywhere. I think one other question that we had is basically, and this is for you, Hector. Like I always get essentially the question of, I'm just getting started and I really don't even know how to begin. What are your recommendations around how to get your mind around payments and how to get started here?
Yeah, so I mean, we get asked that a lot, and I think having sort of simple payment systems that are easy to track, it wouldn't have to be Fuzey, but Fuzey is obviously one of the options. I think being in a place where you're starting from a situation of low fees is a good place to be. Just protecting your cash flow and protecting your revenue as well. Just sort of standard business metrics that you're keeping an eye on. I think it's always a good place to start. Not going for the sort of card machine payment systems that generally start you off at high rates, particularly if you're inexperienced, you might end up getting sort of ripped off there. There's another question coming in that just says, do customers need to input merchant information when using Pay with Bank? And actually, so the answer is no. At the customer end, it's really slick. So the video kind of shows that step-by-step walkthrough, and the advantage at the customer end is the user experience is significantly better than what you would get for bank transfers, where you have to enter an account number and a sort code. And so that's sort of why it's set up in that particularly user-friendly way, really.
Yeah, and I just got one last one via a DM that just said, are there any banks that don't support open banking? And I'm not the expert here, and I don't think either of us are, but I'd say that the vast, basically 99+% of high street banks will support open banking, because it's just the, essentially the universal framework for the UK. I think probably for smaller, regional and community banks, obviously that might be more case by case piece, but at least in our experience, having worked with a number of customers across the UK, we've never had an experience of our bank doesn't support this. So I don't think that there's anything to worry about in that regard. I think we've gotten a couple great questions, so thank you for those. And I think we've been able to cover this, pretty holistically. So I want to thank you, Hector, for joining us and for chatting about your experience, and for all of the great customers who have helped inform the product that we've built. So look, if there's anything that we can do to help you or your business, or answer any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can either reach out the team at hello@getfuzey. You can reach me personally at alex@getfuzey.com, or just head to our website for anything for anything further. But otherwise, look, until next time, thank you so much. On behalf of Fuzey, we really enjoy engaging with all of you and sharing what tidbits we do know about how to grow your local business in a better way. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, guys.